All right, welcome to The Explainer. Now, if you're a teacher, you see this every single day, right? Some of your students are just flying, they're thriving, while others, well, they're struggling to even stay motivated. But what if the secret wasn't about what they're learning, but how they're learning it? Today, we're diving into some incredible research from Dr. Sudhyendra S. G. that basically turns our whole idea of study time on its head. It makes the case that the single most powerful tool for learning, it's not quiet solitude, it's community. And honestly, this could completely change how you think about your classroom.
So let's just kick things off with a big question, one that kind of gets to the heart of all this. Is genius a team sport? I mean, really think about it. When you hear that word genius, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For a lot of us, it's a picture that looks something like this.
We all know this story, don't we? The lone inventor tinkering away in a garage, the student pulling an all-nighter surrounded by coffee cups, just fueled by pure willpower. It's a really powerful myth, and it's one we've pretty much baked into our education system. We value individual homework and quiet, focused study above almost everything else.
But here's the thing. As Dr. Sudhyendra's research shows so clearly, that whole story, it's mostly fiction. The real truth is, even the greatest minds in history, we're talking Einstein, Gandhi, you name it, they didn't work in a vacuum. Nope, they were surrounded by people, by peers who challenged them, who helped them refine their thinking, and who pushed their ideas to a whole new level. Without that community, they just couldn't have done what they did.
And that brings us right to this core idea, the community accelerator. So why does learning together work so darn well? The research breaks it down into three simple but really powerful reasons. Let's dig into the first one.
First off, community just shatters our blind spots. You've been there, right? You're staring at a problem, you're totally stuck, and it's because you can only see it from your one angle. Well, a learning community, it forces you to see it from 10 different angles. It acts like a GPS, correcting your course when you're heading down a dead end. And maybe best of all, it can show you shortcuts to mastering something that you would never ever find on your own.
Okay, number 2, immediate feedback. Just think for a second how inefficient this is. A student works on a project for weeks, all alone, only to find out there's a huge flaw right before it's due. A community model completely changes that game. It creates this constant feedback loop. You get peer reviews, you get constructive critiques. It turns learning into this fast, agile process instead of a slow, lonely slog.
And third, and this one is a real game changer, accountability. When you know your friends, your peers are all counting on you, and you can actually see them making progress, you are just so much less likely to quit. I mean, as educators, our job is to help build resilience in our students. And creating this feeling of shared purpose, it's one of the most powerful ways to do it.
Now look, this isn't just some nice theory. The power of this community accelerator, it's been proven out in the real world, in all kinds of different fields. Let's take a look at the actual evidence. Just check out the range here. In India, you have people trying to become civil servants who form these intense study groups, and it dramatically boosts their chances of passing the exam. Then you've got Pixar. Their legendary brain trust, which is basically a peer review system, is the secret ingredient behind all their hit movies. And then online, you have tech schools like Zero to Mastery that build their entire program around group projects and buddy systems, and their students get hired faster. The context is different, but the principle, it's exactly the same.
But what happens if you actually test this in a controlled experiment? Well, a university music department did just that. They took a bunch of beginner guitar students, split them in two. Group A, they practiced alone. Group B got the exact same lessons, the same curriculum, but they practiced together. That was the only difference. So what do you think happened?
Okay, get this. The result? It was absolutely staggering. We're talking about a 60% lower dropout rate for the group that learned together. 60%! But it wasn't just about them sticking around either. The students in the group, they performed with way more confidence. They actually remembered the music better. It's definitive proof that having that peer support isn't just some fluffy nice to have. It literally creates better, stronger, more resilient learners. Period.
So, we've seen the theory. We've seen the proof. The big question is, how can you actually put this into practice in your own classroom? Well, this isn't just abstract stuff, it's a practical playbook.
Let's walk through 5 really simple steps you can take to start building your own learning community.
So think of this as your toolkit. You don't have to do it all at once, just start somewhere. 1. A buddy system. Super simple, right? From day 1, assign learning partners. Boom, you've instantly created a little support system. 2. Peer teaching. We all know the fastest way to really learn something is to have to explain it to somebody else. It just forces you to get crystal clear on your own thinking. 3. Use simple tools, maybe a class forum or something like Slack, to keep that conversation going after the bell rings. 4. Design some group challenges, projects where the whole team either succeeds or fails together. And last but not least, number 5, recognition rituals. Make a big deal out of group wins. Celebrate those milestones publicly. It really drives home that idea that we all rise by lifting each other up.
So as we start to wrap this up, I want to leave you with just one final thought, kind of like a final equation that pulls everything we've talked about today together. I'm sure you've heard this quote from Tim Ferriss before. It's famous for a very good reason. It's true. We are all so profoundly shaped by the people we are around. Their standards become our standards. Their drive becomes our drive.
And that really brings us to the final and most critical question for every single educator out there. We are the architects of our students' environments. So based on everything Dr. Sudendra's research shows us, the question isn't just what are you teaching them? The real question is, who are you intentionally surrounding them with? Because that answer, well, that could change everything. Thanks for joining us.